have a very good friend of mine. He's well on up in his 80s now, and I met him when I first got out of graduate school. It was back in 1964, and I went back to Los Alamos, where I had worked before, and was on the staff there. And he was a new staff member brought in at the same time, although he'd been there since the 50s. And this is a fellow that he attracted a lot of attention in the world for the kind of research that he had been doing. And we got to talking because he was older and he was retired at this time and he was no longer active in the scientific community. And it was like, what's of real value? And he says, I've come to the conclusion that the most important thing to me in my life, and I realize now it always has been, is my friends and my family. It's the relationships that I have. Now, this is a guy, World War II veteran, pilot in a B-17, did all those missions over Europe, wrote a book called The Youngest Crew, where he turned 21 years old while he was in the air, flying to Europe to go to his first assignment over there, and all these kinds of things. And a scientist, subsequently became a renowned scientist. And you know how scientists are. They're kind of hard-nosed. They don't talk about their feelings a lot. And I remember one time he came back from a reunion with his crew. And he said something to me that I never thought would come out of his mouth. He says, Richard, I love those guys. I really do. Now, he could never tell me that he loved me, but I know he did. But you see, that's the kind of thing that brings this upliftment, this sense of experience of life. The happiness that comes through the identification of the relationship between people, the joy that unfolds from that intunement. A good friend of mine, Methodist minister, said one time, I come to the conclusion happiness is to love and be loved. It's that simple. There was a young boy who wanted a guitar. And he went to his father and begged and begged and begged to get this guitar. So for Christmas, his dad bought him a guitar, and he got it all tuned up. And then he sat there and he strummed one note, just one note, over and over and over, just enthralled with the guitar. And his father finally got frustrated. He says, son, he says, if you ever want to play like some of these people, Chet Atkins and Les Paul and these others that you admire, you have to do more than just one tone. And he says, but Dad, he says, I found my tone. Those other guys play all those notes because they haven't found theirs yet. Kind of an interesting comment. It's metaphorical, of course, but I think you get the idea, don't you? How many of us have found our tone? How many of us have found that something within us that is so powerful that it wants to propel us forward into an expression that's really going to give us the opportunity to be happy simply because we are expressing who we are? Or are we going to continue to beat on the side of the truck or chase our tail to try to finally catch our happiness? I think it's even more sad when we sometimes distract ourselves, become so compulsive that we really can destroy certain aspects of what go on in life